new Border Patrol agents. She takes keeping New Hampshire safe seriously.
I'm Maggie Hansen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on our agenda tonight is a 6:30 PM public hearing on the annual updates to our general assistance ordinance. And as an overview, the state has published the updated appendices for general assistance. This is a housekeeping item. The council is required by state law to adopt the ordinance and the appendices each year. These appendices include Appendix A, overall maximums for income have increased approximately 5%. Appendix B, food maximums have increased approximately 12%. Appendix C, housing minimums have increased approximately 8%. Appendix D, utilities maximums have increased approximately 40%. Appendix E, heating fuel maximums have remained the same, figured by gallons and not the dollar amount. Appendix F, personal care and household supplies have remained the same. Appendix G, mileage rate, state of Maine travel expense reimbursement rate is set by the Office of the State Comptroller is 46 cents per mile. 2022 to 2023 GA housing maximums recovery residences have increased approximately 8%. Is there anybody present tonight that would like to speak for or against this, or would like additional information on this? Is there anybody who is tuning in via video who has any questions or comments? Mr. Manager, do you have any?
Oh, that's exactly what you said, Mr. Vice Chair. Just these are standard appendices that the federal government requires us to adopt and then enforce annually through council adoption.
Thank you. Does the council have any comments, questions, or? Okay. If there's no others, I'll close the public hearing. Town council is following the public hearing. Just as a housekeeping item, we have a quorum. We have a majority of the council present, myself, councilors Seer and Minahan. And but any action that the council takes this evening must be a unanimous vote, because it's the majority of the council, not the majority present. Okay. Approval of the following minutes. Town council of September 27th, 2022.
I didn't see anything that jumped up to me.
Okay, motion be in order to adopt the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. That motion passes 3-0. Board of Assessors from September 27th, 2022.
Mr. Vice Chair, motion that we move to accept the Board of Assessors minutes for September 27th, 2022 as written.
Second.
Any discussion on that item? Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor of adopting the Board of Assessors of September 27, 2022 as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. That motion passes 3-0. Signing of the treasurer's warrant. We have a warrant in front of us tonight for $1,148,184.60 dated 10/6/2022.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion that we sign the warrant dated October 6, 2022, in the amount of $1,148,184.60.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion on the warrant?
It does include the school payment, I'm sorry, for 720.
There's no other discussion. All those in favor of signing the treasurer's warrant as moved, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And motion passes 3-0. None opposed. Reports and presentations. Do we have any this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay. Public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on any items that are not on the agenda? Recognize Mr. Cleary.
Yes, Cliff Clary, Kent's Plains Hill. I talked to the manager today. I know probably not in this year, but I was wondering if the council in the future could look at some signage on our town. You go to North Berwick and you go to Berwick and there's many surrounding towns. And sometimes you have welcome to Berwick, welcome to North Berwick. We have nothing. And when it comes to Christmas time, we have woodpeckers on our telephone poles. And they've been there a long while. And I don't see how they're even seasonal. So it's just good for thought, and probably for next year's budget that I'll approach council again, that might consider. I mean, Sobo has these, they put them up and everything else in town, something to do with them, you know. But the poles belong to South Berwick, and a little beefing up of the holidays, like get rid of those woodpeckers. They've been there too long.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Please.
Cliff, I actually had a meeting last night with Sobo Central about said flags. I have one that we're going to look at selling them off to replace them. It's not 100% yet. I still have to go through a few details with my committee and whatnot, but it's on our radar.
Oh, thank you very much.
Mr. Vice
Been too
Chair.
long. At least
I hear you.
15 years.
I was looking at North Berwick's and Berwick's flags myself, if that makes you feel any
Oh,
better.
it does tremendously.
Okay.
Mr. Manager.
So Cliff, just so you know, and for Diane, of the rest of the council, that is on our list of when we create a new downtown TIF district, is Christmas decorations. I think we can do a lot.
Don't use the word Christmas.
Don't holiday.
It's.
Sure, holiday decorations.
Let him speak uninterrupted, please.
Art, please, I'm sorry.
And, but it is on our list. It's part of what can be funded for, if we put it into the TIF, the tax increment finance district. So we are looking at that, and that's on our goal, is that in years to come, even if we start small and buy more pieces each year, to enhance our holiday decoration. That's bad, holiday. I got it right.
Ms. Fortier, I believe you had your hand up.
Audrey Fortier, Rodeo Road, Vice Chairman Karekis. I'd like to thank you. I know your term of office is expiring, and I would sincerely like to thank you for all the hours that you have spent sitting in that chair, going to events. If you added up those hours, it would be, I didn't even try, it would be scary.
Cheers.
And I really want to thank you for your dedication to the town of South Berwick, for your expertise. As a sometimes critic, we have been adversaries at different times, but you've always been working in the interest of the town of South Berwick, and the hours that you've spent have been countless. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for the kind words. Anyone from the Pat Robinson? I think you muted Pat. Pat, you muted.
Yes, I had to find my cursor to unmute. Pat Robinson, Brattle Street. I'm talking with my Sobo Central hat on, my Keep South Berwick warm hat. Just to let people know that Soup Supper is coming back in person and takeout, November 2nd, Wednesday, from 5 to 7 at Spring Hill Restaurant. Actually, it's not a restaurant, it's a banquet hall. Generously donated by Rosalie Scharf and the crew there. It's for people who don't know what it is, it's for a donation. I generally expect like $5 to $10 per person, 25 for a family. You get homemade soups from a few of the businesses and lots of individuals. Bread from When Pigs Fly and homemade cookies from individuals and perhaps a couple of businesses. It's from 5 to 7 and it's a fun event. It's a community event and we raise money for Keep South Berwick Warm, a program of Sobo Central, which goes to help people with their fuel costs, people who are struggling. This year might be a big year because fuel costs are so high. These people have to go to general assistance and from there, general assistance helps them out. So we hope to see you there. Thank you. Yeah. What?
A question. I didn't catch the time.
Oh, 5 to 7. 5 in the afternoon till 7. Oh, and the other thing is if anyone wants to make a soup or make cookies or volunteer at the event, if they go to sobocentral.org, there is a Sign Up Genius listing there. You can click on that and sign up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else? And then wishes to make a public comment on some item that's not on the agenda. Okay, thank you. So we have go to unfinished business. Item number 1, zoning ordinance solar farms. We have a submission by the planning board with a cover letter from the town planner. And let's see. Let's skip by it.
Page 7.
Yeah, sliding back. I didn't know if I would need additional backup information on the GA.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah. Yes. And gaining on it. Mr. Manager.
Yes, so this is presented to us, and all I'm doing is presenting it formally to the council tonight. Not for any action, just to give it to you. So at this point from here on out, I ask that you take this document, review it, mock it up, see what your changes would be, if there are any, and then at a later date, put it on an agenda as an agenda item discussion.
Are there any members of the public that wish to talk on the comment on the draft solar ordinance? Okay, I'll throw it over to the council. Any questions or comments from the council?
Just of an initial review, there was an acronym kind of placed in there, an MSDS, which wasn't defined and it was on page 11 of the supporting documents under G, air glare protection. So it's once a solar panel type is determined, a current MSDS sheet. I'm sure that's probably an industry term, but as a layperson, I don't know what that means.
I think it's referencing material safety data sheet
Okay.
for hazardous chemical, hazardous materials. The page you say-
I don't have it going up to 8.
It's on 8 of the supporting documents. So it's on,
Oh, the ordinance.
yeah,
page.
not the ordinance page. It's on like page 4 of the ordinance. Under G.
Yeah, that's what it is. Actually, should be SDS sheet. CD.
So if it could just be defined or I appreciate it. Other than that, the setbacks that we take before seem fine to me, and I was appreciative of the main native species to be used as bufferage.
Jeff, you have anything?
I dove into it. I went and looked at the map of the I-1, I-2 zones and looked at the tax maps and looked at the actual properties that would be potentials. So, but I can bring that up when we discuss it at greater length. But overall, I was just, very impressed with the write-up of the whole ordinance and whatnot. It was very well written. And seems like it'll be a quick go through for us. So
I do want to comment on the time that the planner and the planning board put in making that document. I would spend a lot of time on it.
I note in the cover letter that it references a final draft of the zoning ordinance, section 140-67.2, performance standards, solar farms. Has the planning board held a public hearing on this yet?
I don't know that. I'd have to ask.
I
I don't believe
I don't.
so.
I think that's required.
Right. I think they wanted to get it to you for any final changes.
Well, that was what I was wondering
I think
about.
it had to come to you. Then you guys would make any final changes, kick it back then. If you approved it, then they'll send it to a public hearing.
Yeah.
As a final document.
I would say that probably would call for a workshop of the council when we're available to be able to bat it around and have Mallory and John's comments as well. So I guess I just want to review. I know we did this before. Let's see if it was-
Talking to the planner, you said it was ready for your final review, to put it on your, an agenda for discussion. So do you want to put it on your next meeting on the 25th as an agenda item for discussion? Or do you want to do a workshop on it, or?
I think a workshop would be appropriate because it's targeted and we can get through it. And again, I don't know if there's going to be substantive discussion or not. It's going to take a lot of time at a council meeting, and whether we're better served to have an hour for it. Or, I don't know. I guess I don't have a good feel for what the council feels in terms of what we need for time.
yeah,
If the agenda on the 25th is not,
It's fairly full right now, but if you want to move it along, but if not, we can do a workshop. We'll do a workshop at a later date and move it that way.
so I think it's just a function of how much time we're gonna need to do that. We really don't have Mallory and John's opinion on that at this point.
my only concern is if we do a workshop, where does it kick it down to before we can actually get it to,
So if you do another workshop and there's any changes, then I'll have to go back to the planning board.
Yeah.
So it'll go back to them one final time. They'll make the changes, then kick it back to you for final reading and final adoption. Or
So
for,
they would have to go, at that point, there might be some discussion back and forth. If they're nits and gnats, then they can make, typos and commas and things like that. But if there's like a gotta have from the planning board's point of view or staff's point of view, then that might require some back and forth, but
Public hearing.
right,
they both need a public hearing, so.
I want to have tentative approval from the council before they do the public hearing.
and are we we're under a current moratorium, correct?
We are.
March, okay, so we have a bit of time.
Yeah, we shouldn't dally though.
Right.
No, I agree. I think we should move in, early November, if we're gonna do a workshop. I'll see what the planning board schedule is.
Okay.
May, Barbara had asked me if we were talking about public hearings to kindly refrain from scheduling one for November 15th. I got that note before.
was November 15th.
Let's see, 31st is on a Monday of October. I think that falls in between. I don't think that's a regular hearing date.
I just have this lovely note.
The 15th is when new elected officials need to be sworn in by.
That's-
15th
That was
council
the
meeting.
reasoning.
15th, the council meeting anyway.
So that's the first meeting of November.
Right, that's the first council meeting in
That
November.
was the reasoning, Jeff, is because you were having new members sworn in.
And didn't we take an action not to have a meeting on election day?
Right.
So that defers, that kicks it
Right.
down. Okay.
And
Well, why don't we do it this way then? Pending comments by the chair and Counselor James. Get their feel, and if they feel as though we can get it done on the 25th, we'll do so. And if they're willing to, or would rather have a workshop, then I'm kind of ambivalent one way or the other on it. Like, it's just a question of time.
right, we put it as an agenda item on the 25th agenda and discuss it there. We could kick it to a workshop. The earliest workshop we're gonna have is the 22nd of November anyway.
Yeah,
Because
so
we have
why don't we
stuff
do that then? Why don't we put it on the agenda for the 25th? Because we have something going on the 18th.
Yeah.
So let's do that, and then it could be a quick one to say, okay, we have too much to talk about here, we don't want to take it to the meeting, so we kick it down, or we can take whatever time we need. We just don't want to be here till 10 o'clock, dealing with solar. That's just my view.
So, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, you're gonna set this on the agenda for the 25th,
Not a public hearing,
not a public hearing.
It's
Just
just a-
gonna go back on the agenda.
it's just an agenda item. It'll be continuation of unfinished business.
Correct, thank you.
If that's, we agree on that?
That makes sense to me.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your help on that. Yeah, my comment was, on the public hearing, or we wait for town council comments, so it's kind of both.
I'll reach out to the chair and.
Yeah.
John James and see what they have to do that.
Okay. Okay, if that's it, we'll move on to new business. Action on general assistance ordinance. We have a recommendation. Jumped ahead of that. Okay. Yeah, okay, there's a suggested motion on overall page 17.
Mr. Vice Chair, I motion to adopt the MMA General Assistance Ordinance and the updated appendices A through G and the General Assistance Housing Maximums for Recovery Residences effective October 1st, 2022.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the was it revised, updated appendices to the general assistance ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There's none opposed to that. So that motion passes 3-0. Set a public hearing date for the election referendum questions. Did you want to speak to that, Mr. Cleary?
Chris Clary. Given this project, there's a lot of unknowns going on. There's unknown how much tax revenue, if it passed, the town would lose. How much insurance for liability the town would have to pay for this land if they turn it back to the town. And $250,000 of taxpayer money could go into our town hall for repairs. And I think that's basically what I got to say, but conservation, fantastic with this project here. The town have to take liability of it. I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Audrey, I think you had your hand up.
Yes. Audrey Fortier, Modia Road. My questions are similar in discussion with various people that I've spoken to about this, because I believe firmly what Will Rogers, he's my favorite philosopher, said one time, buy land, they ain't making any more of it. And this is a one-time opportunity. It will never come up again. I took a tour a couple of weeks ago with my cousin upriver from Portsmouth to Dover on the Cocheco. And because I grew up on the river in Elliott, and I will not go again. It's a landscape of the past. If you cross the Dover Elliott Bridge and look up river, it's a very unique landscape. And I'm not usually big on spending a lot of money for the town, but it's, as I said, a very unique opportunity that will never come up again. My big question is, I was quite surprised when there were two items on the ballot pertinent to this issue. One was, would the town put some serious money toward the project to get the Great Works Land Trust some credibility when they apply for their grants and wherever the money comes from, I don't know. But the second question, would the town receive it as a gift? I don't understand that. And what would happen if item one got approved and the second referendum question got voted down? I'm unclear on that. I don't know if you can or would answer the question today. It would be, I'd ask the same question at a public hearing because I've heard people ask the same question myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Audrey.
Can I do a quick follow on something?
Well, I don't want to get into rebuttal.
No, it's not really about this. It's just about general things the town would like to see people know.
Okay, I'm gonna check and see if anybody else would
Oh,
like to
sure.
speak to this first, and then we'll come back to you. Anybody tuning in that wanted to speak about specifically, our action tonight is to set a public hearing and not really to discuss the pros and cons of the question, because the public hearing is gonna reveal other things that, you know, for the public, you know, for total disclosure. So really, I'd like to stick to the agenda item, which is to set a public hearing on October 25th. Anybody in the public that wishes to speak? Okay. All right, Cliff. Oh, Pat, you just raised your hand late.
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna set a public hearing, I'll wait for that because I was gonna kind of rebut Cliff's comments. So I'll wait till the public hearing.
Again, it's the comment and that sort of thing, so. But they recognize.
With the situation with people today that don't get newspapers and stuff. And when I was on council, we had the Portsmouth Press Herald here and we had Foster's. And the word got out to the whole town about situations. Very few people actually even know about this project in town. And maybe a project like this, maybe the town has to bite the bullet and put out mailing to every resident taxpayer and give them details on what the plans are. And I know it's expensive, but like I say, and maybe people throw that in the trash, but people are busy with their home lives. And I mean, we had council meetings that we had to go upstairs into sometimes. And today, who do you see? So that's not just down this project. This is anything the town wants to do. A letter stamp saying, we want to do this, what's gonna cost, and just give an idea that come to a meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring it back to the council now.
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes,
motion to hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022 at 6:30 PM to receive comment on this November 8th referenda.
Second.
give a motion a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. No nays. Okay, thank you. Halloween parade. Any members of the public wish to speak on the Halloween parade? Mr. Manager, do you have anything you want to talk about on the?
Well, because this is a parade, and South Berwick's really never done this before, but because it's a parade, the only ones who have the authority in the state of Maine to close roads, besides emergency services, are councils and governments. So in order to do this parade, you'll have to approve a motion to allow them to hold this and to close the roads for the times that they've identified in Main Street. You have exactly the roads.
Yes, yeah, it's right on here. They're gonna start at the community center on Norton Street at 5:30 PM. And it will end at Central School on Main Street. With trick or treat to follow between 6 and 8.
So I just need a motion to approve that, that's all.
Yeah.
And then we'll notify notify DOT and. police department.
Yeah, there's also been some fairly long-standing additional detours. Yeah, because the Halloween parade is long-standing and, you know, with the disease going around, been truncated, but we're back at it again. And, but like on the neighborhood that I live in, which would include Neely Street, Butler Street, Young Street, Aaron Street, Sewell Road. Those have been, I don't know if it was formal or not, but they were closed. Because it's, from my point of view, it's a lot of fun to see the street full of kids. And it's, and the police department, you know, cruise around and, you know, they keep order. So I perhaps talk with Chief Hamill, not Chief Hamill, Chief Ruger about what they do. And as far as, because I don't know what formal action was taken, whether it was ad hoc or not, to just do that, I don't know.
Yeah, it was. We talked about this morning, department head meeting.
Yeah,
So they're not gonna do any of that. They're just doing this year. They're not closing off any of the other roads, just this.
okay,
The police will be traveling around all the different side
Yeah.
streets and passing out candy and
okay,
be a part of it.
yeah.
Just not gonna barricade off the roads.
Okay,
Mr. Richard, may I ask a question?
yeah,
So if this is the first time that we are doing this, I know that we technically had like a holiday or Christmas parade after Thanksgiving. Is this something we need to consider? Okay,
No parades can be, no one has any authority to close down roads except municipal governments and or emergency services in the times of emergency situations and conditions, or at times once approved by the body of the council or select.
and so this would fall into place for also the Memorial Day kind of celebration going forward.
We didn't do it then because they didn't close the road down. They kept one lane open. So we didn't do it then, but in this particular case, actually closing the road. So when you actually interfere with the flow of traffic, you have to by council road, and we have to notify DOT, and then it's posted on their website or wherever they posted that. Now I know this because I had to do it other times.
thank you.
So there would just be that request of action there.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that council grant permission for the police to close the road for the Halloween parade.
I guess as stated, close
As
the road,
stated.
yeah,
All right, for the
Or
roads
as
that
written.
were stated.
yeah,
Second,
okay. Okay,
And then do I need to make another one about the DOT? or-
No, that's all. We'll just, it's just an administrative thing. I just need to call and tell them it was authorized and we're closing the road, so that's all.
okay. There's no other discussion, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. There's none opposed.
Mr. Vice Chair, I just want to make it up. I really don't think it's a big thing, but it's more of a, I think it's best I can figure. It's kind of a procedural liability thing that should have been being done years, all the way around.
Yeah,
That's all.
okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is, looks like a task force. Joint team for the consideration of upcoming townwide ordinance changes. The joint team would consist of 2 planning board members, town councilors, a representative from the comprehensive plan committee. This is initiated by the planning board. So what we have coming up are ordinances coming out of state mandates for LD 2003 and then low impact development as required by MS4. Council wishes.
I think it makes sense to, we got a lot of moving parts going on here. We're not appointing now, we're just authorize the creation.
Yeah, this is an ad hoc committee, is the way I read it, and there's really no statutory authority granted or anything like that. It's just basically an agreement to meet and to,
We're working with,
yeah, and
To
then,
move the project forward.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it was good with Tammy on board, the knowledge she has, and then just a lot of things happening here as well as on the comprehensive plan group and then planning board. There's all so many things happening in each. Makes sense to kind of have a smaller group circle up and.
yeah, there's a lot of things like for example, LD 2003. No one has mentioned anything that I've heard of on the state level or local level on fire equipment. People can convert a garage that's sitting on the property line. Now, instead of it being a garage, which is basically occupied by a vehicle, you have a dwelling there. Now, what about structure fires? Now you have something with fuel, propane, oil, whatever, on the property line, and if the houses are close to each other, like what happened, I don't know if you followed what happened down on Webster Street. When that went off at the corner of Grant and Webster, that close by to the next house. And it torched the side of that house. And so that could have been a conflagration much more than the loss of the building in question. So, I mean, that's something that I just, and then you get into, all these other things. And I'm not a fire person. I'm just someone who thinks about things with, hardwired smoke detectors that you would do in any multifamily dwelling. And, you'd have those not just giving alarms inside the house, but you'd be calling somebody. If one of those things goes off like an apartment building, the red trucks are coming. And we haven't talked about that at all. And I don't even think that the state considered that in terms of like a densely populated neighborhood like Parent Street.
And Mr. Vice Chair, if I may, that's one of the things that Tammy brought up when she talked about, the futuristic look of this is it's gonna come. And if we don't grab it and harness it and prepare for it, plan for it, it's gonna be here next summer for us to try to deal with. So the planner's idea was, talking with the planning board, was to put together a joint working group that could start to look into some of these questions, get going on it, because before you know it, winter will turn to spring, then we'll be facing these deadlines.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I feel so strongly about this particular law that I would, as a town, it's not gonna be my call. In a month, I'm gone. But I would think that we could even take an action to say we'll acknowledge the state law, and for these reasons, we're ignoring it. And you can do that. We did it on the zoning board of appeals. There was a situation that came up. Can't remember exactly what it was, but we departed from what was written down. You don't do this every day, but there was a situation that came up where the rules just didn't make sense. We acknowledged the rules. It was challenged, but by the fact that we acknowledged the rule, but then did something different, the judge said, you're okay. So, I think we have to put on, some common sense here a little bit. If something doesn't make sense to us on the ground here in our town, that we should, do what we can to take care of business. And they could say, well, do this, do that, but we could say, well, no, thank you. And then it gets dragged out through the course for 3 years, so be it. But anyway, that's just Jack.
Yeah. Do we have to make a motion?
How's that for
for-
parting shot, Audrey?
No, no, no,
It's
motion.
just-
Nope, I just wanted to get, we'll, you know, and when you have a full council, we'll ask the council to appoint 2 members to the committee.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Get people talking to each other.
And again, also just very, it's a lot in this letter from Tammy. You know, there's a lot there as to what the reasoning behind it, but very well written and breaking it down so that we know what the heck what she's asking and, you know, it's good to have the details. So thank you. Thank you to Tammy for that.
The only thing that I would, on the second paragraph, or actually the third paragraph, is list a couple of, for examples, but it would be including but not limited to those 2 things. Because, we just talked about solar, and that's, coming along too, so. Any objection to hearing a comment from the audience at this time?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Audrey Fortier, Rodeo Road, if you were going to appoint, if the council was going to appoint a couple of members to the ad hoc team, I would suggest that you consider that some are from the more intensely populated areas and some from the more rural, because what would work out my way wouldn't work where you live, so different points of view.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on to new business number 5, Home for the Holidays tree. Mr. Minahan, I believe you had some dealing with that last year, is that correct?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Vice Chair, I actually put that on the agenda for tonight.
Okay.
So I'll stand and what I'm pretty much asking is to do the same thing as last year. Use the front lawn for town hall because it's next to a war memorial. Set up a tree, whether it be with Mary Hovey and her tree or whether it be ours for Osgood. But we would like permission to use the front lawn like we did last year.
Okay. How did it go last year?
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone had fun and I think it was a great turnout.
No, I'm talking about the tree.
Oh, I think it went great, personally.
Yeah. Perfect.
Jeff and Dave Stanfield got their boots and went out to Osgood's field and got a nice tree and we lit it up and it was great. We kind
Is that on
of,
Blackberry Hill Road?
Wish Shop.
Which road? Okay.
John James, Diane and I were out there in the breeze trying to get it up straight and it was a fun
It was a fun
experience.
experience, yes. That's the right way to put it.
So is that your one and only tree?
What's that?
Is that your one and only tree?
That's my one and only tree. Yeah, I didn't
Thank you for
lose
your
anything
service.
yet. Yeah. No, I was a little busy this year, so.
Okay,
Home
so
for
what
the
action,
Holidays
what
will
action do we
be-
have here now? Approve the use of the town hall lawn and electricity for the holiday tree, December 2nd, 2022.
And I'll make that the motion to approve the use of the town hall lawn and electricity for the holiday tree. Beginning December 2nd.
And I think we went for a week last night, or was it 2 weeks? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I had, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks.
I think it was a couple of weeks just to enjoy it.
Okay, a motion, a second. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of use of the town hall lawn and electricity for the holiday tree, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an odd item on the agenda tonight, and we have a traffic complaint.
I get so many of these, and this particular one, she addressed it to me, was trying to address it to the council. It's just a forward for information, it's just an FYI, I just want you to hear them. People In particular, several people called me up and said, you know, we're tired of this, we want something done about this. And I said, then you gotta pass it on to the town council. The town council has to hear this, not men, just the men who are sitting in my office Monday through Friday. The powers to be here in this municipality is town council. So I'm just passing it on to you just for information, that's all.
Okay, but you know, I acted on it. Because I drive that way sometimes, and so I crept up to the intersection of Main Street and Norton, and I rather like the cross hatching that we have right there now. I think it works. I think it's effective. And so I guess I politely disagree with the petitioner, if you want to call it that, or the writer, because I didn't have a problem, I guess, with sight distance.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I may, I got a complaint, similar to that section about the vehicle that parks to the right in front of that house, blocking the view of being able to pull out. They are constantly parked on the side of the road, blocking views. That was what I received.
Where is this? Traffic, where is in this, Main Street and somewhere?
Norton.
Oh, North.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But for those listening in, the complaint that was forwarded to us tonight was comments on difficulty merging onto Main Street from Norton Street.
This is the same, part of the same area that we'll be discussing with Sedago Technics. correct?
Yes, it's in the track.
So,
I did forward the complaint. to Sedago.
okay,
Yeah, that's the other thing we're doing, we're forwarding the complaints onward to them too. The ones that pertain to them, I can't, the ones on the back country roads, I don't.
right.
Well, I'll make another comment. I know this has been repeated by individuals because, you know, I mentioned that I wished I had a silver bullet to solve the traffic problems in South Berwick, but we are in fact, you know, victimized by our geography. And we have two state highways coming through town and it gets busy. I mean, I could have wrote a letter to the manager about trying to get across the road from the Sarah Owen Jewett house to go to Nature's Way. Or even getting out of my car on that side of the road and waiting because people are zipping by. This is a fact of life in South Berwick these days. And I'm afraid that we're ill-equipped to respond to these sorts of things because it is simply a fact of life. And I wish that I could solve the bypass traffic that go by my house in the morning, commuting time in the afternoon from, you know, I don't know, 3:30 to 5:30. People go around the corner on two wheels almost, it seems, and gotta keep your head on a swivel to make sure you don't get whacked.
I think, and to add to that too, is, you know, it's, you know, even as like a public service announcement and a call for, which I know some of us have been doing for this traffic workshop, for the public to come out and bring these up to Sedago Technics. Because things like this, like you said, you had to go deliberately to go check it out with your drive, you know, and you're not seeing that every day. I see it a lot, but I'm in a bigger truck, so I could see how it could be a problem for someone in a smaller vehicle, but my perspective is higher. So I think it's really, it's good to have the complaints or these brought up, especially now because we have an actual crew and team put together working to strategize and think about this very sort of thing. You know, the request to wipe out some parking spots might sound great to some, but we actually have experts that want to hear this, and now they can hear this exact example and make and kind of look and see, oh, that is a potential problem area, and hopefully address it while addressing the larger issue that they're looking at. So yeah, just I guess all of that to say to anybody that might listen now and in the future is come on down to the workshop and let us know about your individual issues so they can have true data to work from. So,
Question,
Brief,
is that in a 2-hour parking spot area?
Yeah.
Most people move along. If they don't, and I cleared the lot, I'm not moving. Front of the stores, that's 2-hour parking. For that for several businesses.
Mr. Vice Chair, is there, sorry, Jeff, you mentioned that there was a public or a meeting for surveyors records. I was gonna add it to the notes. See what date that is.
Yes, it's the 18th.
October 18th,
October 18th, thank you.
I believe it's 6:30 p.m.
It's 6:30 in the auditorium.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I'll add that in here. That's
Okay,
exactly a week.
Geez, we let you slip way to the bottom here. Mr.
It's the best place to be.
Manager. I did have a sense that we were missing something up top.
Well, there are times where the public comes in to hear something, so I wanted to let them have the opportunity first, not have to sit through all my stuff, and then if there was something to discuss, I figured it's at the end of the evening, it's easier.
You have the floor.
Thank you. For the highway department, the water lines have been updated at Front Street and Spring Street finally. We were hoping that it would get done before winter. They did, and finally they're scheduled to pave on Friday, weather permitting. They're still cleaning out the storm drains. They're repairing a basin on Willow Street this week. And winterization on the sprinkler systems at the fields and the monuments will be completed by the end of the week. The police department, the last 2 weeks, they've had 4 arrests, 9 accidents, 67 traffic stops, of which 20 were on Portland Street. Detective Sergeant Stevens will be holding a fraud training at the community center for seniors. Officer Arsenal has become the new firearms instructor, and he's done the training with our staff and has done an excellent job this year of instructing the mandated annual firearms class. School Resource Officer McLeod is doing an incredible job at Marshwood High School, has been very busy dealing with students being back in school. The police station will be tinting the windows on the first floor to stay in compliance with the Privacy Protection Act. What they discovered was someone walks up to the building, they can actually go through the windows and see their computer screens. And that's an illegal thing. So they're getting someone to come in and tint the windows. Fire department, the last 2 weeks had 18 calls. Year to date is 323 calls, up about 42 calls from last year. Brad Gorman has been promoted to the position of fire lieutenant, effective on 10/1. There was 5 candidates that went through a promotional process, and he was the one who scored the highest. So congratulations to Brad. Fire Prevention Week is this week. They'll be hosting students from Central School, conducting fire drills at the schools, and visiting local daycares. So if you see the fire department out and around, that's what they're doing. Code enforcement, the last 2 weeks, 2 building permits, 23 building inspections, 3 violation letters, 2 pre-construction meetings with developers, 2 trainings, stormwater and chimneys, recertification on that. Reviewed 2 past subdivision site plans for site plan review, and had a meeting with the zoning board of appeals. Excuse me, planning. Cannabis policy and licensing application are being addressed. She's working on that. Great Hill Road 5-lot subdivision preliminary plans have been approved. The density calculations are being reviewed due to the soil types of Great Hill Road. Community questions and concerns are being addressed on that project. Ordinance reviews, definitions, language, and suggestions made from board meetings being interpreted. Berwick Academy proposed projects are under review. New guidance has been received from SMPDC on LD 2003. We'll be sharing with all the committees shortly. Reviewing land use ordinance for compliance with white paper on erosion and sedimentation Ordinance changes due to be effective 1 July 2023. An annual stormwater inspection being accomplished over the last 2 weeks. Library, Jen and Lee will be meeting with revision to go over this. Oh, why don't you go ahead and talk about that then?
When I was reviewing the check run, I saw CMP, and I always like to look at the library with the solar and how much we're gaining on the, excuse me, the solar array versus what are being built. My parents have had solar panels for about a year or so now, and I just recently got them, so I'm understanding a little more about them. So when I see that at my own house, I'm bringing in 60 kilowatts in one day, and the library can't make 1,000 in a month, and they have 144 panels, I've got 30. So I'm working with revision. I'm talking to Lee. We're gonna set up an appointment. They're gonna come in. They're gonna show us how the system works at the library. They're gonna get us set up with an app so that we can verify that the solar panels and the array is working properly. And we're gonna see if there's any repairs that may have to happen to make sure that it is at its fullest capacity. So trying to save some money over there.
Very good,
Yeah.
very good. Thank you.
Recreation, the new programming coordinator is working, is hired and started. She's gonna be starting in Coyote Club.
Nice.
Coyote Club.
Okay.
What?
Go ahead.
The Coyote Club is an after-school club for children geared towards the outdoors. My children participated in it, so they learned how to light fires, primitive cooking skills, so on and so forth.
So she's gonna be doing that here. Mad Science has started back up after school program. They're also working on setting up classes for Zumba yoga and art, setting up the speed programs for winter months. For the seniors, on October 3rd, 50 seniors went on a Pasaki foliage cruise, and they had a good time. Next week, they'll be closed for cleaning and waxing of the floors. The floors haven't been done at the senior over at the center for a while, so we're gonna get done. They'll be closed next week, then be reopened. Under assessing, continuing to receive property tax stabilization applications. She finished the tree growth roster. She's doing reporting of sales to the state for the new ratio for next year. And deeds are nearly caught up and will be qualifying sales for sale by analyzing listings, sending out questionnaires and visiting properties to verify data. Town clerk has had over 500 absentee requests received already, mailed back out, correct?
They're still coming in.
I know you guys have been really busy and the lines have been out the door last 2-3 days, so good job there. Transfer station, the new dumpster that we ordered, new canister, finally has arrived. We had to order that back this summer, our capital funds. New drawstrings bags that we ordered have arrived. Dan hasn't had a chance to open them up and see what they look like yet, see strength of them, but as I said, we had to order the drawstrings. We can't get the ties anymore. The company said we can't do that. They don't make them anymore. We had one of our part-time people resign, so we're looking for one part-time help position. Dan added a new bin for donations, and the bin is basically specifically clothing and funds for veterans. So people can, we have the one for Goodwill, but this one specifically for veterans stuff. Dan, with somebody had set that up. Economic development, Denise met with the town's attorney regarding the new TIF districts. Met with SMPDC to continue working together on mapping, which will go hand in hand with the comp plan. Getting town access to as many grants as she can find. Finance?
Yes. So I was talking with Heather, she reported to us that we only have 6 homes that are at risk of foreclosure for this year, which typically it's 17 to 25. So this is the lowest it's been in many, many years. So the letters will be going out to those people by the end of October, and then they still have some time. They won't foreclose on until December. I'm still working with the auditor, finalizing some questions and helping him get the reports finalized for his review to you guys in December. I have reached out to Kennebunk Savings Bank to discuss interest earnings. The interest rates are going up everywhere, so I feel our revenue should be as well. when it comes to the interest rates. So they really reduced them at the beginning of COVID, so I'm hoping to ramp them back up. So saving money at the library, bringing in more money over here. And I have been spending a lot of time with Denise and talking about TIFs, learning about the TIFs, learning the financial impacts of them. You know, kind of working with her as to what is the best way with the lawyers, town lawyers, what is the best way to capture the most bang for our buck, if you will. We want to make sure we do it right the first time. So we're doing a lot, and I'm learning a lot with that. And when I sent out the reports for September, it's hard to believe that we're already 25% done this fiscal year. I can't even believe it. Time is just flying by.
What's the budget at? Percentage wise, 21%?
Well, no one's above, no one's in any risk or anything.
So we're in good shape with the budget this
So far, so good.
particular first quarter of the budget that we reviewed, and I believe you sent those reports out.
Yep.
Under admin, we had a meet and greet today at Berwick Academy. We met with their management staff, the Berwick director, the president of Berwick Academy, and the admin finance guy and maintenance facility guy. Really good staff meeting. They served us lunch. They had lunch there. It was basically just, you know, the director had been there for 5 years. And you know, the town management has changed, so they wanted to have a meet and greet. And from there, we agreed that we're gonna do quarterly meetings. And work together, and certainly it was a great meeting, great success. Opening the door to working together with Berwick Academy, that, you know, they want to be included as being part of the community, not separate. And we want to make sure that we're working together with them for the services they need, so that was good. Met with the police chief and lieutenant, a police lieutenant, to talk about the main PERS options, their retirement options, see what's best options going forward. I'll be starting management leadership training for all department heads in November, going through probably till March or April. And we're gonna tackle management topics, leadership topics, personnel and supervisory practices. None of the department heads have ever had any management leadership training. That becomes a red flag going forward. That, you know, we need to provide them the opportunity to give them the tools in the toolbox to be successful at being good department managers. So we'll be working on that. Route 91, 236 intersection work started today. Moving telephone poles and cutting trees, and that'll be going through till probably, they said, the first week in November. They did not give me a warm fuzzy feeling about utilities working after 9 o'clock in the morning. He said, you know, they were talking about the pavers and the road construction people, that the engineers have control over, not the utility. I know the public said, we originally said 7 to 9 to you folks, but that doesn't appear that's gonna hold. Utilities people come out and do what they want when they want. That's pretty much what they said. And that, other than the fact that we've been very, very busy in the office, a lot of moving pieces going on. That is my energy report.
Thank you very much. We'll go to council member comments. Councilor Seer.
I went to Central School today, and there were some lovely pre-Kers with their fire department hats on. And my son is very much looking forward to his fire department kind of field trip tomorrow. So I'm very much appreciative to the fire department for that community outreach during Fire Prevention Week. It's so important to chat with the kiddos about fire safety, and just having those conversations reverberate back to home. I've always heard it. Now that the weather is changing, it's getting a little bit colder. I just wanted to check in with the rec department and the potential for, I think there were funds expended from the bond fund for the ice shack. And it had been kind of put off, so I was hoping that we would be able to have some sort of facility this winter, if at all possible, and to make sure that our rink is in good repair before we need it. Looking forward to the next comprehensive plan meeting in a few weeks. And then tomorrow was supposed to be a town and district meeting hosted by Elliot, but I have not heard if we'll be having that at this point. So we'll look forward to the next one.
School. was the
Yes,
school
yeah.
superintendent.
Yep,
Yeah, I haven't, as of this moment, I have not
Yeah.
seen, checked my email, I didn't see anything,
Yeah.
so. I don't, and Elliot didn't participate last time, so I wouldn't. I'm not planning on it.
lovely. And that's it for me.
Thank you.
I don't have anything this week, thank you.
That time of year, check your smoke detectors, change the batteries. Something I do for at Thanksgiving, but good thing to do. That's all I have.
I have one more comment. I am appreciative of the new monthly journal that the town administrative staff has put together on our website. If you haven't seen it, it's highlighted, and I'm sure it'll be continue to be highlighted under the website revision. Just as counselors, I was wondering if, we would want to consider drafting kind of news from the council, or like just plugging anything that we are doing here, any type of outreach. More communication is usually a good thing, so I wanted to throw that up to us.
I don't think we're limited. So if you have some topics of general interest or specific interest, I'd say put them down.
Perfect.
And it's usually a good thing to say that, that you're speaking for yourself and not the council, that kind of thing. It's always some people might misinterpret that it's, some action by the council. So.
One newsletter, that's what the newsletter is for, and it would say from the desk of the town council, so what I'm looking for is that you would get together as a collaborative group and say, hey, Jess, do you want to write something up and throw it at us on the 25th, and then we'll kind of approve that, and then we can put that in a newsletter as a letter from the, as a remarks from the council or something like that. That's your choice, up to you how you want to do that, if you want to do something like that. If not, you see the newsletter. We're just trying to get more information out, get the town familiar with kind of some of the stuff we're doing, and some of the department heads and so forth, and so on. So I just, how you guys want to do that. There's certainly a place in there for you.
Just another, I have one other. As we're talking about downtown TIF and many things that are associated with that, economic and community development. And I would hope that whatever action is proposed recognizes significant history and cultural importance of the built environment in the downtown.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The historic district and the historic value of preserving the downtown district, absolutely.
And it's just we haven't spoken to that specifically, but on the comprehensive plan committee, we're coming up with historic and cultural pieces of the plan that are coming up on the 26th, and so that just kind of jogged and dovetailed that with the TIF. It's an important piece for South Berwick, and many people have worked hard on it over the years. That's all I have.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Second.
All those in favor?
I.
Aye. Thank you all. We off the air? We off the air?
Your daughter was the first, I told